all of you. Thank you so much for coming in on a Saturday morning. Pretty early by Bangalore standards, I would say, but at least you beat the traffic. Yeah. So, my name is Nihal Kashnath, and I run the IoT Bangalore community. For those of you who are coming for one of our meetups for the first time, to working professionals, to entrepreneurs, pretty much anything in the IoT space, we try and help out. Some of our activities are more informal, others are formal and more structured. Here's a basic list of things that we do. Feel free to find us on Facebook, Meetup, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of these platforms. We do try 10,000 people on the Meetup group now, and we might have like space for about 100 people or 50 people, depending on the kind of event. So what I would suggest is, the minute that something is announced, please see if it makes sense to you to attend that event, and then RSVP early so that you can kind of reserve your seat for the event. And of course, if there's anything else to me, if there's any help that any of you guys as startups need, feel free to reach out to us. We do a lot of services for startups, right from helping with initial ideation all the way up to fundraising, and of course programs like this where you can do is, apart from just having startups showcase their stuff, they're saying that you can actually sell your product. So they're looking for startups which have products to sell. If you do have something already ready, then feel free to register for this particular event. Numa is on Church Street. It's just about Church Street Social. Really good place to kind of, it's a co-working space as well, so do check it out sometime. But this event is, which is the India International. It's this big exhibition that's happening where you're going to be able to see a lot of new products, kind of like the Indian version of CES. Maybe not as fancy, but it's a very interesting event, and we're seeing if we can put together a hackathon. So, interested in having a new idea very quick, getting validation for the products that you're already working on, consider applying to this particular hackathon. It'll be 9th and 10th. We will announce it on our Facebook group and on our Meetup group soon. But just save the date for now. And then September 17th, this is going to be specifically on wearables. And the idea there is going from prototype to product. So which means that last year we had done another event with MediaTek on wearable tech. We looked at what are the different things, how to approach the whole wearable tech industry. We're looking at the next stage of that entire process where you already have a working prototype or you have an early stage product, and how can you take it to mass market. So we'll be covering things on certification and testing. We'll be covering things on design aspects, all of those things. So those are so 3 of the events that we know that are coming up, but there's so many more events. Those of you who are aware of them, please feel free to share it with the rest of the group on Facebook. And then there are startups and companies that are looking for good talent, right? So what I would do is in our LinkedIn group, you'll find the links once again on our website, but come to our LinkedIn group and post your job requirements there. There are a lot of people looking for these jobs. Yeah. Finally, and then of course we are also looking for. So if anybody Sometimes you also have a little bit of time, so you can't commit to coming and working with us. There might be chunks where project, or you can mentor some students or something like that. So do either volunteer with us, or if it's a commercial project that we're doing, we're happy to share the revenues with you. Or if you know of other people who want to work full-time with us, we have positions open across the board, right? So from event management to the really technology side of things, where job postings that we have available. Okay, so that's pretty much my spiel for today. I'd like to invite Kwai to come over and talk about. He's the MD of AIRmaker, and we're going to be working very closely with him on all of these things. So feel free to ask all your questions, get your doubts cleared, figure out what AIRmaker can do for you, and see if the program is right for you. So Kwai, over to you.
Thank you. And on the internet and got all his contacts and numbers. Plus, we have partners in Singapore that have highly recommended Nihal as well, as we interacted in this community. So thank you again, and good to be here. I've not been back in Bangalore for like maybe more than 10 years. So I think this is a totally new place for me now after so many years. Again, thank you. Good morning, and welcome here on a Saturday morning. And also, it's not about just, I want to make this session a more interactive session and a sharing session. We have here and startup founders and all that, and very experienced because interaction and sharing what we do and how we can work together, rather than us, conducting a hour-long lecture and all that. Can you hear me? Okay, so I don't need a mic, right? No. Cool, thanks. So, what do we do? First, we are a very newly incorporated fund. We invest in very early stage startup, and one of the key programs we run is an accelerator program, and I'll go through in a bit what we do as an accelerator. But first, to introduce our current founding partners. One is Ascender Singbridge. I have my shareholder, founding partner representative here with me as well, which is at the back of the room. But they are a commercial developer of commercial properties, and a lot of you are familiar. They are here as well. Plus, in a lot of other places in the world. And through them, we really can get access to a network of corporate partners that they can bring to the table to work with startups at various stages. We can also access the markets they are playing in because they've been in those markets for a very long experience in those areas and can help our startup learn and get access into those markets. We have Ecocom Investment is part of IDA, so they are more of a regulator as IDA, but Infocom Investment is a fund. It's a $200 million fund investing in startup in various stages. They do much later stages, pre-series A and all that. So they are also very experienced in not only Singapore, but in the region, promoting this ecosystem and building this ecosystem to support startup in Singapore. So in Singapore, they are really active. They run more than like 10 accelerator programs, either partnering with major colleges. Finished one, UOB, which is a bank, FinLab program that just completed last week. They also have many other different accelerator programs under them. They run co-working spaces. They have other investment in startup through the various stages of the development. So for us, we are tapping onto their ecosystem, tapping onto their methodology as we work with startups at different stages. And also, quite privileged to have a Chinese partner, Lunyang. They are similar to Ascenders, but the background to them, experience in a lot of areas, especially in the tech space. So they have just have a new park, and in the new park, they have Alibaba and Tencent as key tenants in that park as well. So in China, access and experience in that space, we really are leveraging on their network inside China. So in this program, we run a accelerator, a 3-month program, and I'll go through a little bit more with you what we actually do. This is a interesting accelerator where we actually go into 2 places. Most accelerator gets you into one location at one time, but we have time in Singapore as well as time in China. For this batch, we are going to Shenzhen to help startup at least navigate and understand how to scale up your production. All right. NRT is really big space, right? Want to narrow at least for the coming batch into 2 areas. One is in the healthcare space, and one is in smart nation or smart city space. Again, these are very broad areas as well, and they overlap one another. So it can be from home care, which is part of healthcare, and also part of smart cities. Right, so these are the 2 areas we are currently focused on, and we are in the process of recruiting startups to join us for this program. Here, we also privileged to have other ascenders has brought into this. We have Philips Healthcare will be joining us. We also have Panasonic as well, and a few other key corporate partners that will be in this program to help us mentor our startup to help space as well as they build their company. Briefly talk about accelerator. I guess you are quite familiar with accelerator program. Okay, accelerators are a very structured program, right? We run a very structured curriculum. For us, we run about a 100-day program in a very structured manner that takes startups through different phases of development. So as accelerator, we have structured lessons every day in the morning, then allowing the startups to go and prepare and continue to develop different areas in their companies in the afternoon. Every week, we require our startup to pitch to different people, either to pitch to corporates or to pitch to potential investors. That's just to help you hone your skills in your pitching. So different weeks you have an elevator pitch, or you have an investment, you have a product pitch to train you and teach you how to pitch to potential customers that you are working or you're going to sell into. So this is what we will work on in our program. So what do we do in that 100 days? You're first in Singapore, working through various parts of the business. The key is to look at your business model, whether there's a need to adjust, change, improve. We will have different mentors that will work with the startup. Can be domain experts, can be technical area, also in the area of fundraising. So to look at how the startup needs to prepare and grow in the next stage. Then we are taking the entire group to China to spend about a month there. And that month, not just to talk about manufacturing, because for some startup, you don't really need to now tap into manufacturing in China. It can be here, it can be other parts of Asia. But what do we want to do there at the startup? How to navigate in manufacturing environment as we scale? Because in startup at this stage, you're not going to look at 10,000, 100,000 pieces, right? If you can do that, it will be great. Different startups will be talking to different kinds of manufacturers and different kind of manufacturing environment. So we want to custom this process to have different startup talking to different companies. So it could be, you could be working on a product that you need casing and you need a PCB, and that's maybe that. Robotics may be talking to slightly different kind of companies. And so we want to customize this approach, but to help startup to navigate the environment. How do you initially talk to a manufacturer? At this stage, you will not be talking to very big manufacturing plants, right? They will not be looking at making 10, 50 pieces or 100 pieces for you. So how do we navigate manufacturing? how do you do what you do in a factory visit, what you look up for, how do you qualify a vendor. But more than I know a lot of people are very concerned about going to China and all that. That's really not an issue. I've lived there, worked there for many years. But we also want to teach startups about protecting your IP. So you're going to give your BOM list to a manufacturer. How do you do that? How do you protect your own IP if you need to consider that? We are also working on they want to access the Chinese market. How do you get an entry into a Chinese market for those startups that are looking at doing that? So that 1 month is quite an intense 1 month in Shenzhen, around, talk to different manufacturing partners, or talk to different potential prospects and how to navigate that environment. Coming back to Singapore in the last month, that last month usually for most accelerator program is used to help the accelerator to raise funds for the next round. As you grow, of course, people is one thing, but funding is the key thing to a startup, or preparing to work on a pilot with some potential customers that we are looking with. So we hope to be able to link startup with that, or to start preparing your pitch and think as you raise funds. It will end with a demo day, as most accelerator program does. But usually the funding doesn't occur on a demo day, right? I mean, investors coming and watching you for 5 to 10 minutes and prepare to give you whatever amount you're asking for. Happens, but not very often. So actually throughout these 3 months, with potentials, allow that investor to work with you and watch his team grow and change and shape this team over the 3 months. And towards the end, really they are making a very informed decision as they invest in the startup. All right, so that's the kind of 3-month program we're looking at. Okay, so startups coming to join us will be coming to Singapore. These are the spaces that you're working with, plus in China working space or co-working spaces. I guess you have to do that. But key is what kind of this accelerator program. And the accelerator is likely the startup to be very early stage, right? Pre-revenue, pre-seed or pre-series A, a working prototype. So not just ideation, right? Ideation, you have a lot of other support system and network, but a working prototype, pre-production, and work with you to do that. We invest 35,000 Sing for a 7% equity in this startup, and for the startup to be incorporated in Singapore for the duration before the start of the program. And we require the founders to participate in this whole 3-month program full time. Otherwise, you won't benefit from this program. But we also recognize that as we go around the entire region recruiting, we are recruiting from around the world. My team just came back from Korea. We were in Taiwan a couple of weeks back, and China. We are also recruiting from around the Southeast Asian region, and also in particular, we are here to talk to potential startups that can join our program. But look at this, we've seen startup in various stages of development and requiring different things. So we do more than just an accelerator program. We do a kind of a post-accelerator, or companies that are looking to scale up. Because of our network within ASEAN and China, we are working with startups that want to scale manufacturing perspective to allow them to spend time in China where appropriate, and working with them to scale production. So those will probably be Series A startup or even later stages, looking at understanding how to switch from a small batch manufacturing to working with bigger manufacturers and scaling down. Or We are also working with startups in those later stages that are focusing in other markets. So some startups, maybe here you're already focusing, you're already developing markets here and you're growing. Now, do you want to expand outside of this region, or at least have an exchange with some companies at similar stages and exposing those younger companies or later stage startups to think about how do I grow and how do I expand, how do I access, say, Singapore and ASEAN. It's not as simple as hiring a BD guy and hoping that this BD guy will run all over the place, right? So where do you target? Which sector do you target? Where will be your reference customers? And how do you grow a team overseas? So we will work with the later stage startups after an accelerator program. They are open to not just startups that come through our programs, and open to startups from different places. Our strength is still our partner network, plus our focus in IoT and with hardware components. So we are also working to build that up. We also work with corporate on corporate innovation program hardware accelerators too as well. Those are very early stages, fit into an accelerator program, starting that in Singapore and in China as well. And we also want to partner with different accelerators, incubators around the world to be able to exchange ideas and to be able to share that network to work together. All right, so that's kind of what we do, very briefly. And interact with you. I know you're coming from very different stages and different, but happy to take any questions.
The examples of startups that you have already incubated?
No, we are a new fund. So, but I can share with you some of the startups that IIPL has incubated. So IIPL runs many accelerators program, right? They just finished one fintech one. So some of the fintech things saw one that day on on a platform. I have seen one also from the media area that are looking at a B2C app for fashion purchase. They are now actually going into China to continue to build their business. They are a graduate sort of and re-identify and reshape where they want to grow as a market. So they are actually going into China to continue the next phase of development. Yeah.
You were talking about scaling the second thing. What kind of things? Okay. First of all, you will be that a startup probably it requires a little more, probably connecting with the right set of customers.
Yes.
Okay. Do you actually help on those kind of things?
So we scale in two areas like you identify, right? I mean, scaling in production is probably the secondary. You must get your customer first before you scale production, right? So in the first month, we will be working with a startup to rethink your initial customers, to focus a lot on the B2B space. Not in the B2B space in IoT or there's a lot of wearable and all that. There are a lot of people helping startup in that area, and they are very successful doing that. Our focus is really more in the B2B space. So now in the B2B space, it's the selling process is quite different. You don't just put on Kickstarter or Indiegogo and then that's you get your corporate customers. The cycle is also quite different and very long. So what we want to do is to work with startup in that area to first identify who may be a right reference customers for them. And therefore, how do you approach a reference customer? How do you then build your sales pipeline and grow into that? We also have corporate partners that are working with us that maybe or operate initial pilots with the corporates. And some of the other corporates that will be working with us have already said something along this line, that they are either going to be, the startups are either going to be their suppliers, potential suppliers, or they are going to be consumption of some of their technology. So which means that we'll be able to access certain technologies or components in your product, because a lot of startups in these stages would be taking off-the-shelf solutions and whatever you can find, strap your product prototype together, right? So two areas. So helping startup to identify the path forward. And usually in the corporate B2B sales, right? I've been doing that for many years. Is getting your first key reference customer, and that will build your that will also be a good reference for you for other potential sales. Okay, so that I think will be key.
One more question.
Yeah.
Basically, since you are talking about the smart nation, the second one. Now, do you, since you are talking about the customers, do you have access to the Singapore? Because you know, as you rightly pointed out, the Singapore is actually coming as the one among the smart nations.
Yeah.
And there is connections for the Singapore RT about and land technologies. If you have the right products, okay, do you have very assembly of customer base?
Okay, so yes and no. Looking at my two key founding partners, they are very well connected in this space because finally they are government entities, and so through them we will be able to access some of this. Of course, we can't guarantee you will be able to find and all that, or be able that they will definitely use this solution, right? But getting introduction and access is something that we want to leverage, right?
So governments also is one among your partner, or probably some kind of customers.
In some ways, depending on what the solution is and how to do that, right? Yeah. We definitely want our startups that come through our program to be successful, right? So the more they can interact with that, then it makes my investment grow, and definitely we want to do that. Yeah.
Does Singapore government have a stake in Ascendus?
My Ascendus.
However, Ascendus is 100% subsidiary of two government body. One towards the stream of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and the other one is to the Ministry of Finance through Temasek. So for those of you who are familiar with Temasek, they hold 51% of Ascendus, and to MTI, the entire planner of industrialization system, it's 49% of our parent.
So I think more than just the parentage, right, and all that, it's their network of tenants that they have in their.
You probably can look towards the support and the network that we bring along with us. Other than IIPL that Polly has explained, Infocom Development Authority of Singapore, that's IIPL's parent. They are basically the entire architect of the Singapore of the entire Singapore. And also, they have the dominant development of Singapore. So that's a background for you. And also, IDA is the smart city, or we call it the smart nation architect behind this. Other than the centers that just now I have explained, we basically do development of IT parks and industrial parks in the regions. So currently, we have a clientele of 2,600, and a lot of them are actually in the spheres of manufacturing directly or in the technology. If you are familiar, IoTBLR is one of the projects that Ascendus had started in Bangalore. A very young company as a partner, one partner that is very important. Other than what Kwai has explained, actually, very young shareholder and investor are in China, and he is very much in the investment. So with that, the network of technologies industry, as well as his government on that. That's what the shareholder trying to input into this platform of AIRmaker.
So therefore, the uniqueness is not just potential funds that they own. but it's also connection and access to different markets. I guess in every market, it's the same here and same everywhere. Right? You need connections to get you to the right people, whether it's customers or prospects or other partners that you need, rather than just access to funds. Yeah. Any?
In case of digital health, you offer hospital or you offer services to the center?
Okay, again, IoT healthcare is huge, right? Ranging from pharmaceutical to the whole range. And we understand that in this space, for 3 months, it's not easy for us to focus on companies that are really into clinical, pharma, and other areas, because the development cycle is very there in the future. But for this space, yes, the focus is really not on B2C. Where we can. Of course, if you come across a very interesting, viable B2C company, we are very happy to do that. But we want to help even today's B2C company to really think about how to reshape or have another, angle of focus on the B2B segment. So hospitals is one thing. In Singapore, in many other countries, home care is one key area. We are very short of hospital beds and all that. So an extension of care in the home is important. So we whether it's a network of getting caregiver to the home or having other products that facilities and home care. So we have looked at a range of potentials in this space, and we welcome those. Yeah.
How focused is this program on the Indian market itself?
Indian market, yeah. At this phase, no. So we realize that we don't come back here and do that, but we do have linkages and partners we want to develop in the market here to be able to facilitate startup to continue to grow. I mean, here you are, right? This is your home ground. You definitely want to grow this market.
Yeah.
And we've come across startups to the Indian market that today is very applicable here. Maybe not come to a Singapore context or even a China context. It needs to come back here after the acceleration program to really grow your home market. So we will be working on with partners here to continue to facilitate that growth. Yeah.
So there is a third condition that founders need to participate, right? So is all of them required, or
sure,
it can be just one?
So in a startup, you can have founders, co-founders, with a whole range of things, right? So who are the right people to participate in this program? So thinking of what we want to do, we definitely want the key person in the business area to participate. So key person in the business area, because we have to use your business model, your market access, how to grow that. So from just business, finance, and again, we have a focus on scaling manufacturing or building. So whoever is responsible on the product area, because even in a prototype, right, your current BOM is the current way of building your product may need some adjustments or some inputs into the area before you can maybe get into your first pilot stage or your first commercial launch. So we would want the person responsible for the product development or operations to be in the program. Reason for that is that otherwise, a remote learning works in some sense, but the interaction with the mentor is being physically in a factory environment, seeing for yourself what it is, talking to potential manufacturers, interacting with them is pretty key. So, give you an example. I invested in one startup before, not in this space, but in the renewable energy. And one of my product is super expensive, like $20,000 US to make that thing. When I first took over, I looked at that. It was sourced in the US, built in the US for the US market. Then I look at exploring whether I can make it somewhere else. So actually, I went to Taiwan and China and look at different manufacturers for that big component that I have. We managed to drop that manufacturing cost from 20,000 to about 8,000. But in working with that manufacturer, that manufacturer really helped me to rethink my product, because I have a sort of a post that is like 40-something feet long. It doesn't fit into a 40-foot container. So what do you do, right? You have to cut. In the US, it's no problem. You know, you build there, you ship wherever you go. But international shipping, it doesn't fit into a 40-foot container. Of course, I can still fit into other, but it will be very expensive. My manufacturer actually worked with me to redesign, rebuild, and structurally, it wouldn't sound like and how put together. So they actually helped me to redesign part of my product. I'm fortunate to find someone like that. And so it's quite important to find a manufacturer that can really partner with you. They can add design input. To reduce costs in manufacturing. They can add input on shipping and distribution, and how you package. It doesn't. The companies do not need to in China. You're sourcing in China only, and the entity will still remain in Singapore. Yeah. Right, we have applications from everywhere, from the US to Europe to Korea as well. I guess 35,000 coming into Singapore is not a very cheap place to be. A significant part of it will be used up to move around in Singapore or China. Fortunately, in China, we do have dormitories that are very so reasonably comfortable and reasonable cost. But yes, so a significant portion may be used up for traveling and accommodation. And so want to start up in the next phase, which the success rate at Infocom for the accelerator programs. So what are the success rate of people going through accelerator programs around the world, getting the next round of funding? Probably about 10, 15, 20%. The current success rate there, going through this kind of accelerator program at IPL and their ecosystem, is more than 60%, raising the next round at that point of graduation. So which therefore means that the startup will have money to do a few. What do startups use startup with hard money to build. Time and effort to start pitching to your first corporate access to that. Sorry, yeah.
You have mentioned about the cross-border accelerator programs. So assuming that some of these programs have been assigned to cross-border startups. So local markets are very important for these startups to at the third stage. We're talking about the startups. So the local markets are very important.
Yeah.
So in case of
okay, so maybe we need a mic for the questions.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Maybe you can stand and yeah.
So I was just, this program is basically assuming that we are in third or second or when we have a product and it has a global appeal. Now we are out now. If you are asking the participants to come in the local markets in Singapore start the operations. So having the products as a global appeal, help the startups to get the projects, get the products in the local markets,
So
as well as the global markets.
yeah, sure. So maybe define global appeal first. Global appeal in a B2C space is different from a global appeal on this for global MNCs. So I'm actually selling to them, pitching to them office. And as I get into and become an approved vendor, integrating into all the valves and all that, and detect certain, I don't know the details yet, but detect certain on and off and lighting. to immediately, say that I have US, Europe, and the whole portfolio. But I think it's always a journey to get team to think big, but learning to grow without how do I say, getting there.
There's a learning curve.
No, yeah, I agree, learning curve. But a lot of companies but you also want to be able to support that growth. So imagine that answer. How do I do that? Do I have a distributor? Because you need to install, right? And you need to produce. If you produce the device, you need to support the device. You need spares, the device will break down, to maintain that. So is that the right way to go? Or do I are able to get some support from the government for IP, sort of legal support to file your IP. Need to work on. So yes, scaling in two areas that we spoke about. Scaling as you get into new markets, accessing either the ASEAN or North Asian market, and build up production capacity and distribution. Again, building in China is just one thing, right? Getting the physical product wherever you need to go in the market and thinking through how to get there is a key thing. Plus, certifications if you go into certain markets. So we will be announcing these kind of programs very soon for later stage startups to get into markets outside of their home country in the Asia Pacific region.
I just like to know how you plan to address some of these things, because for a startup to primary market research, these are expensive. So how do you actually facilitate or help in that?